But hand-delivered flyers where you recruit a group of people to come pass out flyers for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday morning, or in the summertime, it can be Monday, Tuesday night. They do an hour and a half, 2 hours on 2 nights, a weeknight or whatever. But be ambitious with how many you pick. Be persistent in recruiting your volunteers. Make it creative. You got 5 seconds to capture their attention with their flyer, so it better be creative enough to capture their attention visually. Be professional. The first one of these I ever got was a hand-delivered flyer. I was living with my mother-in-law for a year when I was an intern at a church, and so someone came in a new church, hand-delivered a flyer to my mother-in-law's house, and it was not 8.5 by 11. It was half size, like this size here, and it was on yellow paper. I remember very clearly. This is 30 years ago almost, but it had like 3 paragraphs on it. It was just saying, "Hey, we've got this new church in town. We're trying to reach our neighbors. We'd love to invite you." And I thought to myself, isn't it nice that they're inviting me to their little church? And so I had a good first impression of this church, that someone took the time on Saturday morning to come by and invite me to their church, even in a flyer. So my second impression was that there were probably, on 3 paragraphs, there were probably 7 or 8 spelling or grammatical or type mistakes. And me being a closet grammarian, I was embarrassed for them that they had just handed all these flyers out with all the spelling mistakes on it. And so be professional in the design, have somebody proofread it, make sure that it represents what you want people to see when you deliver it to their house. Also, be casual. You get to, because it's hand delivered, you're a neighbor, and so you can use casual language rather than on other marketing. It might be more corporate looking or professional looking, but you can say, "Oh, neighbor," as your what's it called, your greeting. Can just say hello or whatever, and be casual a little bit in your text, because it's been hand delivered. It's not coming through the post office from this church off there somewhere. It's a neighborhood church. Be prepared. You got to figure out, how many flyers can I pass out in a reasonable amount of time? And I've figured out the hard way, after passing flyers out more than a dozen times, some kind of rules of thumb about how many people you're going to need to pass out this many flyers. And then be efficient. And what I mean by that is, don't waste people's time that have come to volunteer for you. And so I have seen guys I've been part of where I've gone to visit their church to help them pass out flyers, where I drive 2 hours there, and then they waste an hour of my time getting us all ready to go pass out flyers. And I've given them a half a day of my time, but don't waste 2 hours of it on the front end and the back time. So figure out how to receive people, empower them, give them their stack, give them their map, give them their instructions, and go at it. I don't know what I mean by hand delivered. Be specific. I'm trying to remember what I was thinking there. But what's on your instruction sheet is the last thing. Is I had an instruction sheet like this. What I ended up doing is I would have the map of where they were going on one side, and on the back of it, I would have about 6 or 7 instructions, like pray for your families as you're passing them out. I would say on the instruction, don't put them in the mailbox. That's a federal felony, so put them under the mailbox in the little cubby, or some other things. I would also say, if someone stops you and wants to ask you about the church, don't talk to them, which sounds strange. But the reason is people coming from another church, I didn't want them casting the vision for the church that I'm launching. So my instructions were, tell them, go check out their website. So if someone stops, someone says, "What's this?" and they say, "Oh, it's a great new church getting started. Go check out their website." And that way I could cast the vision with a little 3-minute video on my website, rather than this person that's really met me before to tell them what our church is going to be like. So I would have an instruction sheet that everybody got with their map of where they were going. And then I got even more efficient eventually, as I quit having my people on my launch team pass out any flyers. I would only have the people that came from other churches that I'd recruited. And I would use my people to be runners to get our people out to where they're supposed to go, because my people know the neighborhoods, right? And so what I discovered is people visiting from 20 minutes away or 40 minutes away, they would say, where's this neighborhood at? And it would take them a half hour to figure out where they were going. But I would give everybody a van, that someone on my launch team, the 4 of you go, and they could drive them right there. They could text them to say, we got to go to the bathroom. So they drive them to Walmart, or they could bring them back at the end. It was all just a lot more efficient when my people were doing all the valeting of our people around. So I had people help me figure out after each one, how could we have made that better? Which is a great principle, again, long past church marketing, is every church event that you have, even after you launch, is to debrief. And the way you debrief is that you schedule your debrief with your event. Is you're going to have your event on Saturday, and our debrief is on the calendar. We're going to Zoom on Tuesday night. And if you don't do that, it will take forever for you to even collect your people that you want to debrief from because of busyness. But if they know and they've got it on their calendar, then on Tuesday night, you talk about what would have made that better, quicker, more efficient, more impactful. And after you do it a couple of times, which I wouldn't pass out one flyer for my church. We probably did this twice a year for 3 or 4 years in both of my church plants, plus 3 or 4 times the first pre-launch and right around the launch time. So probably 10 times per church plant, easy. I did hand delivered flyers. And so we got better every time. And you can do that with whatever you do. If you do an annual fall fun fest every October, you'll be better year 2 than year 3. It's if you debrief and take notes, and then you pull up those notes when you start planning for next year's. So it's a great skill regardless. So that's hand delivered flyers.
Yeah.
I probably want to talk about this more when we get to the end, because this, I think, is there's power in hand delivered flyers because they're cheap and they're personal. Someone had to come to my house to give me this. There's power in that. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry about that.
You've talked about in the past, like, where to put it. So like, yeah, underneath the mailbox, in the door in between maybe the door handle and the door jamb. But then you've also mentioned, I know in the past, about like putting it underneath the doormat with like maybe the church logo showing, right? Wasn't that one of your tactics?
Yeah. So if we've got time, and I can talk about it now, but one thing I would do is I strategically placed our logo that they've seen on all the other marketing pieces, right where that's the most visible piece of the marketing piece. And so I would instruct them to put it under the door mat on the front porch of the church. All right. But I would put it in diagonally. So the doormat only holds it down from the wind, but they're going to see that logo, the exact same logo that they've seen on everything else. Or if we roll it, the first several that we did, the neighborhood that we lived in, the doors were all the same, and we could put them between the door knob and the door jamb of the door. And so we would roll it, but we would always roll it with the front out and made sure that the logo was visible right at the end of the thing. You can tell I get really picky about these things, but remember, I've got seconds for them to deal with this piece, right? So I didn't want to make any doubt that this is who they're getting it from. The logo is what they see as they're coming up to pick up that flyer. And so you got to think about, how can I maximize the 3 to 5 seconds that I got for them to be interested in whatever my flyer is telling them about. But the doormats are real quick. You flip it under just so it catches. I don't know if you can see this, but it just catches this part of the corner of the doormat. And then they can see, oh, it's that church that I've already seen these other 4 things about. And now I've got something in hand to tell me about it, rather than the things I've seen around town.